Gerald Moore tuning in. I came across this article on marijuana moment, so I wanted to share it with y'all. Make sure you guys subscribe to the channel. Make sure you guys go follow us on Instagram at Athletes and Cannabis. Let us know what you think about it, what sports you play, what you think about cannabis, what's your favorite strain, what's your favorite brand, what part of the country you in, part of the state, what part of the world, what sport, what's your favorite sport, what's your favorite athlete, who's your favorite athlete. Let us know in the comment. So make sure you like and subscribe to the channel and show us some love so I can continue to bring this content to you. So shout out to Marijuana Moment, the culture section. Just came across this article. States that legalize marijuana see enhanced college basketball recruitment, study finds. So this was published 4 weeks ago. Marijuana legalization is linked to significantly better recruitment for college basketball and worse outcomes for football teams, according to the new study. Researchers at Georgia College and State University and Kennesaw State University said there are numerous factors that affect recruiting trends in college athletic leagues. And so they tested the relationship between adult use cannabis policies and talent acquisition. The study, published in the Journal of Sports Economics last week, looked at recruitment data from 2003 to 2019 and applied difference models, finding that marijuana legalization appears to be an important but complex driver of college sports recruiting. That should be taken into consideration by the NCAA leagues. For college basketball, teams located in states where cannabis is legal see an average 3.7 slot improvement in recruiting rankings. In absolute terms, being located in a state with legal marijuana exerts an effect on recruiting that is 50% as strong as having a new coach, the study says. Conversely, cannabis legalization is associated with poor recruitment outcomes when it comes to football teams, which is interesting, with recruitment ranking an average 2.9 slots worse for for colleges located in legal states compared to otherwise similar institutions that haven't legalized for adult use. Colleges in states with legal recreational marijuana use can expect improved recruiting outcomes in basketball, but reduced recruiting powers in football, the author said. In both cases, the effects are large, suggesting that interested parties, coaches, administrators, and fans of other NCAA sports should consider marijuana laws a potential driver for recruiting effects. Because the study didn't rely on survey data from individual athletes, the authors said, so the survey didn't rely on survey from individual athletes. The author said any explanations that could be derived from their findings are merely conjecture they offered a few hypotheses nonetheless. One theory is that the difference in recruitment between football and basketball could be related to the marijuana policies of national leagues, the NFL and NBA. While both historically penalized players over cannabis before adoption reforms more recently, the adverse financial effects of positive tests were generally larger in the NFL. Also, unlike the NBA, the NFL's policy meant one positive test could end a marginal NFL player's career, potentially influencing why college football players would be more wary of marijuana. That's true. And that makes sense. But I could tell you, like, college football players are smoking hella weed. But given the NBA's relatively lax stance on marijuana, it seems feasible that NBA hopeful prospects may be more willing to use the drug in college, while future NFL players have a greater incentive to steer clear of weed, the study says. This could explain why basketball recruiting improved for colleges in a state with legal recreational marijuana. Also, you got a lot of college athletes that's like, yo, I'm one and done. You know what I mean? Like, the whole process of college basketball is different too. A lot of kids come into football kind of bright-eyed and bushy-tailed. You may be a redshirt freshman, or you may, be told you had to steer clear. So, I could see that. Plus, there's more football players. You could. A lot of the backups may not do it. You know what I mean? Interesting. However, beginning in 2020, both leagues adjusted their policies. It notes earlier this year, for example, NBA and its players' union signed a collective bargaining agreement that removes marijuana from the league's banned substance list and lays out rules allowing players to invest in and promote cannabis brands with certain exceptions. NFL drug test policy also changed demonstrably in 2020 as part of the collective bargaining agreement. It stipulates that players will not face the possibility of being suspended from games over positive tests for any drug, not just marijuana. These marijuana policy changes have affected numerous professional sports leagues amid the state legalization movement. That includes the NCAA itself. In September, the NCAA Committee on Competitive Safeguards and Medical Aspects of Sports formally recommended that its divisional governing bodies remove marijuana from the list of banned substances list for college athletes. If the reform is adopted, it would build on the policy change that NCAA enacted last year to increase the THC threshold that constitutes a positive test for college athletes from 35 to 150 nanograms per milliliter, aligning the NCAA's rules with that of the World Anti-Doping Agency. The new study, meanwhile, also suggested that the desperate impact of legalization on college football and basketball recruitment could also be related to cultural differences. That is, it's possible the basketball community is generally accepting of marijuana use. Our findings in the NBA's lax policy may both be manifestations of a culture that deems marijuana, it says, adding that if past statements about ubiquity of cannabis use amongst league executives are true, college recruits may feel empowered to use the drug in college and may choose to attend a college in a state where recreational use is permitted. While these explanations are feasible, more research is needed, the author said. In any case, they said the results have predicted prowess regarding the future of college athletics, as multiple states have enacted legalization since the end of the study period in 2019, including New Jersey, New York, New Mexico, Virginia, and Connecticut. Based on our results, we can anticipate that colleges in these states will enjoy improved basketball recruiting and on-court performance in the coming years. Relative to their peers, the study says, these same colleges can expect adverse recruitment effects in football, leading to worsened on-field performance in future seasons. However, many universities in these states do not have football programs, but possess well-established basketball programs. Meanwhile, in other sports-related drug policy developments, Nevada sports regulators voted earlier this year to send a proposed regulatory amendment to the governor that would formally protect athletes from being penalized over using or possessing marijuana in compliance with state law. UFC announced in 2021 that they would no longer be punishing fighters over positive marijuana tests. New York Media Softball League, which has teams representing the Wall Street Journal, High Times, and BuzzFeed among its ranks, announced in July that it was launching a sponsorship deal with a Kentucky-based CBD company. The idea behind the collaboration was inspired by moves by Major League Baseball and certain teams like the Kansas City Royals and Chicago Cubs that have also recently partnered with CBD businesses. MLB itself announced its league-wide partnership with a popular CBD brand last year, Charlotte's Web's Holding, one of the most recognizable hemp-derived CBD companies in the country, signed the deal with League to become the official CBD of MLB. While advocates have welcomed these changes, there's been criticism of the World Anti-Doping Agency over its ongoing cannabis ban. A policy within the agency said in an editorial in August that marijuana use by athletes violates the spirit of sports, making them unfit role models whose potential impairment could put others at risk. Boo! Boo. So, advocates strongly urge WADA to enact a reform after U.S. runner Sha'Carri Richardson was suspended from participating in Olympic events due to positive THC tests in 2021. Following the suspension, the U.S. Anti-Doping Agency said the international rules on marijuana must change. The White House and President Joe Biden himself signaled It was time for new policies, and congressional lawmakers amplified that message. Boom! So let me know in the comments. Make sure y'all like and subscribe to the channel. Make sure y'all comment. Let me know what y'all think about that article. I think that's very interesting. Definitely research. As a college football player, I know when I played back in 2008 to 2012, 2013, I knew people on all sides, that of the fence, people that were against it on the football team, people that were heavy consumers on the football team, people that were in the middle. I knew people on the basketball team, girls and boys that smoke. One thing I would say is there are less basketball players than football players. You know what I mean? So you may have 12 to 14 basketball players where you have 100 football players. So the information can kind of be skewed. But I'd definitely be interested to see if you're a college athlete and you're interested in sharing your story or sharing your voice. You can DM us on Instagram. Let us know your story, and we'd love to hear it. So that's definitely an interesting story. Let's see if they got any more sports story. NFL's putting more money into research on CBD as an opioid alternative for players with concussions. NBA officially signs contract removing marijuana ban from substance lists and allowing players to invest in cannabis companies. So yeah, y'all let me know, man. Let me know in the comments what y'all think. Shout out to everybody in the cannabis industry. Shout out to all the advocates. Shout out to all the athletes that have come out and used their voices um, to really push, for education for the community, man, because it's not easy work, and a lot of times people just think that, cannabis is all about, just getting high, and it's way more than that. It's so much more than that. And so as we continue to have the conversation and push the narrative in 2024, especially as athletes, former athletes, current athletes, it's up to us to use our personal platforms. You may not be able to speak under your team logo, but you can, what I tell people all the time is you can use your personal platforms. You can use your Instagram, your social media. You can create your own, a separate, Instagram, social media account for the things that you're passionate about. And use that and leverage that. You can write articles. You can, there's different ways to get involved and use your platform, use your celebrity in a sense to create conversation, and to create dialogue and to create change. And that's why we created Athletes in Cannabis. And please, if you follow us, if you like us, if you like this content, you can follow us on Instagram at Athletes in Cannabis. You can subscribe to our channel here. You can also support us via Cash App, $ G13 Ventures. Um, that goes directly to me personally. I do a lot of this out of the kindness of my heart. I don't have any sponsorships. Or you can go to support a nonprofit that I volunteer with as the president, geononprofit.org, and you can donate to there as well, where we do educational and community service initiatives for underserved communities. We focus on health and wellness, environmental justice, sustainability in the BIPOC community. And so those are ways that you can help support different initiatives that I'm involved with. I'm passionate about cannabis. I'm passionate about sports. If you don't know, I'll give a little bit of a brief background on myself. I started playing tackle football when I was 6 years old. I ended up going to St. John's College High School in Washington, D.C. I grew up in the PG County area. Played against and with a lot of great athletes and talent. Ended up being nationally recruited. I was a 2 to 3 star athlete in football. I lettered in basketball and football for 2 years. And then I was highly recruited in football. Ended up accepting a full ride to Ohio University. As a redshirt freshman, I was an All-American, top 10 in the nation in interceptions, top 5 in freshman in interceptions in the nation. I ended up being an impact player. Ended up being on EA Sports NCAA football game as an impact player. I was a captain, team mentor, um, won a bunch of games, played under Coach Solich, who just got inducted to the College Football Hall of Fame. So I have a lot of great accolades in sports under my belt. I coached high school at Upper Arlington High School for a couple years, helped lead the team to defeating the #2 team in the state. Started my first sports performance company, tried out for the NFL in 2013 with the Oakland Raiders as a free agent, and I retired from the game. So I have a lot of experience in football, basketball, sports in general, from little league all the way to the pros. And I just like to share my experience. I like to share my stories and things that I've dealt with, because again, I know there's a lot of people that don't know what goes on. There's a lot of kids that want to play sports. There's a lot of narratives about, people that consume cannabis, or, that people are potheads, or black kids with locks, or black men with locks that smoke weed aren't intelligent, or we can't read, or we can't, be successful in corporate America, or we can't run our own companies, our own businesses. We can't run households. We can't keep marriages together. We can't be good husbands and good fathers. We can't be good community members. And so with me, I carry all those things because I've seen it and I've heard it. I've been a part of communities where I've heard how people have talked about other people behind their backs because of their use of their language. Um, I've seen how, white people think that I'm different because I could code switch, or white people think that I'm different because I could speak intelligently, or white people think that I'm different because I'm an all-American football player. When it's like, no, you really don't know me. You know what I mean? Like I'm from the hood. You know what I mean? And although I'm able to walk and live in such light, it's an embarrassment because not everybody gets to walk this journey with me all the time, and it gets lonely. And when it comes to cannabis, I know the demonization that has happened in our communities, the war on drugs. I've seen teammates lose out on opportunities because they failed drug tests in college. And so that ended their career on a bad note. And that could have been potentially the reason they may have not got drafted, or that impacted their recruiting for the NFL, or their character analysis. When you use something like cannabis to discredit somebody or assassinate their character, um, it it's inhumane. One, it's disingenuous, and it's a failure on society's part. And so we have a lot of work to do, and that's why I use these platforms to speak up for athletes, because our athletes are dealing with a lot. Our athletes are dealing with PTSD. Our athletes are dealing with anxiety, stress, depression, just the pressure to compete, the pressure to complete homework assignments and projects and tests, the pressure to graduate on time, the pressure to make some money on your name, image, and likeness, the pressure to be a good boyfriend, the pressure to be a good friend, the pressure to being a good human being, the pressure to, so many things. You get injuries, so you're in pain all the time. You're lifting weights, you're running, you're training all the time, so your muscles are sore. Cannabis helps with muscle relaxation. Cannabis helps with pain and inflammation. Cannabis helps with appetite. A lot of athletes deal with appetite issues. A lot of athletes deal with performance anxiety. A lot of athletes deal with just other social anxieties. So, as athletes, we have to speak up. Shout out to all the pros, all the ex-pros that have used their platform to speak up. If any of you guys are out there, man, I would love to chat with you guys. I'm definitely going to do more reaching out this year to have more guys on the Athletes in Cannabis platform, just to have stories. because there's so many amazing athletes in cannabis stories out there that need to be shared. But I want to thank you guys. Please comment in the let me know in the comment section what athlete you want us to have on athletes in cannabis, and let us and help us get them. You know what I mean? Help us get the big dogs. You know what I mean? So let me know what athletes. It can be any athlete that is in the cannabis industry or has proclaimed cannabis as an alternative medicine to help them in their performance. It doesn't have to be professional. They could be amateur. They could be professional. They could be retired or current. But we just want to have great conversations and get the information out there and let people know that it's okay. One, to share cannabis talk, but also just to share that the human side of athletics, right? Like these people, they perform exceptionally well in their craft, but they're also human beings too. They're also real people, and we need to remember that, especially with how we treat them, because they're going through a lot of the same things that us normal folks are going through. And a lot of athletes, you're not going to be an athlete forever. You're not going to be a professional athlete forever. So eventually you'll cross over to this side, and things are different when you're not in the limelight anymore. But we also play a major role in society, which we have to embrace, not just on the field, on the court, but in the public square, in the political sphere, in communities. So we have to understand our power, our influence with certain issues, and how our voice, and our influence really influences things. So with that being said, man, I appreciate y'all. Make sure y'all like and subscribe to the channel. Make sure y'all comment what athlete y'all want me to interview. Let me know what content y'all like. Follow us on Instagram as well. Keep showing love, man. Happy 2024. Stay blessed.